Alright, so I'm creating this video to give you a quick overview of Ellie's story, the unit that I created for the story by W. Bruce Cameron. This kind of shows you the levels and information about the student's interest level, and also gives some information on how I created and built this unit. We're going to go through each page, but please be sure to come back here and read this. In addition, if your students are lacking background information on search and rescue dogs, there is a link here for them to watch a video, as well as a PDF link for Google Drive. So let's continue here. You can see a table of contents. It shows you how the unit is laid out. We start with pre-reading activities. There are several of them to choose from. Each chapter will have vocabulary, comprehension questions, and extension activities. The vocabulary is 1 page long. The comprehension questions has 2 pages, and the extension activities will generally have an ELA or writing component, and then another subject as well. For the comprehension questions, there are 10 questions. The first 5 are generally from the first chapter, and the second 5 are generally from the second chapter. So if you feel like there are too many questions and you need to shorten the assignment for certain students, please be sure to assign odds or evens so they aren't missing parts of one chapter. We want to make sure that they are still understanding and getting the information they need from both chapters. At the very end, you can see there's an answer key which has photo credits and has additional resources if you feel your students should need them. So let's get looking at the rest of this. We're going to start with pre-reading activities. The pre-reading activities are meant to help provide your students with background information, to check their vocabulary knowledge for the words we're going to see throughout the story, and it can also help you as a teacher know which words you need to pre-teach to help them understand. If you are using this in small groups, you may want to consider having a vocabulary leader who can help the other students with those. It's very important to connect the reading to self, to text, or to world. There are 3 options because each student has their own level of background information. Please have them choose one of these that they know they can complete. So let's get into the chapters. We're going to start with vocabulary. Each section has its own vocabulary activity. Each activity is different to try to keep the interest level up of the students. They will need to read instructions carefully to know how to proceed. And the same thing with the comprehension questions. There are multiple ways to answer to keep their interest level, also to make it less taxing on students who do not particularly enjoy writing and find that hard for them to do. Alright, we're going to continue scrolling through here. You can see the extension activities for this first section. You may want to have them choose their own if you feel they can complete each one, or you may choose the one you feel is most appropriate for your students. If they are falling behind for the week, you can also choose for them to not complete any. Again, these are extension activities just to help them relate the story to other subject areas and things that they are currently working on. Please be sure that you have the materials needed before you assign a project and let them know your expectations. Each of the writing activities, I do not include a rubric because depending on your grade level, you have different requirements and expectations for the writing. Please be sure to go over those with your student. So I'm going to scroll through the rest of these so you can just get a brief overview of the unit. You can see the types of questions that are asked, the extension activities and skills that the students will be learning, as well as the vocabulary words and activities they will see in each section. Here you can see I have written two different versions of this extension activity. Some students will know how to convert the measurements and some will not. So choose the appropriate worksheet for your students depending on their math level. Okay, so we are coming up on the post-reading extension activities. You can use these as a summative assessment if you would like. You can also use AR quizzes, but mostly this is just to wrap up the story for the students and get some information from them, provide them with something they can use in the real world. Here is our answer key. As you can see, the pre-reading has their own answer key. Post-reading will also have their own. Again, some of those activities you need to communicate expectations with your students, as you will just have to study each individual work and decide how you feel like they did. And then each section has a vocabulary key and comprehension key. In the comprehension, I am pulling those answers directly out of the book. This is printed by Scholastic. If you have a different version, the page numbers may not match up. Most of the definitions for the vocabulary words were pulled from wordcentral.com, which is a student-friendly dictionary. So the first page will generally be vocabulary and comprehension, and the second page will be the extension activities. All right, so here is the last page. This has additional resources. It can give your students more information about dogs and Ellie's job. And then it has the photo credits for the pictures used throughout the unit. Most of them were downloaded from unsplash.com, but you can click on the links below if you like the pictures and want to use them on your own. Thank you so much for downloading, and I hope that your students enjoy this unit.